Good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike. It is Sunday, the 10th of May. This is my weekly recap. It goes out there for free this week as I'm not doing charts today. First of all, to all the moms out there, very happy Mother's Day to all of you. I hope you guys are having a great day and enjoying yourselves. We go into a market this week that has been on fire, especially tech. Is it narrow? Yep, it's definitely a narrow trade. We talked for months that the AI trade was going to lead this market to new all-time highs, and that's come to fruition. The problem is this market's refusing to rotate. It just seems to be stuck with these same names. And this can go on a lot longer than you might think. You know, if you never didn't trade back in 98, 7 through 2000, you should go look at that run and how they just kept running the same names over and over again. So, you can go into these situations. It can stay like that for quite a long time. That said, they've run the semis and a couple AI names to the moon, and it'd be nice to give them quite a little break here. So let's talk about what I'm thinking about for this week and what's going on. First of all, we do have a fairly busy economic week. We have CPI on Tuesday morning, PPI on Wednesday morning. I'll open the room at 8:25 for those on both days. I want to watch that 30-year bond auction on Wednesday. I don't know, something there to keep an eye on with everything going on in the world. We also have retail sales coming in on Thursday and see how that one looks after a very weak consumer sentiment. We have a bunch of Fed speakers for this week. President Trump is traveling to China to meet with Xi, so you can also have that going on. We'll see how that goes there. From an earning, and I got the wrong one. How did I do that? Hold on a second, please. There we go. Now we have the right one. From an earnings perspective, we kind of switch gears here a little bit. On Monday morning, you have Circle, which is interesting to me, along with Chegg, Mosaic, with all the talk of fertilizer shortages. We have HIMS, ASTS, RGTI, Archer, CleanSpark, Mara, Plug, QUBT. None of these are big names, but these are names that are, interesting to a lot of people and they can move. So we'll keep an eye on those after the close on Monday. QBTS, JD, if we first look at a China name, SCONON is in there on Tuesday morning. Oklo, one of my holdings, is on Tuesday night. BABA, the big China name, they're reporting on Wednesday morning. Thursday night, Cisco, USAR. We got ONDS on on Wednesday morning and on Thursday morning, and we have New and AMAT on Thursday night. So we have a lot going on here. So a lot to pay attention to this week. All sorts of stuff going on here today. Anyway, you can see earnings here. So we'll be focusing on these names and see where they're going. You take that side, let's talk sentiment as we come into today. Sentiment in this market here hasn't really changed. You look at the oscillators, we don't have these screaming hot readings. Plus 68 on the Nasdaq, on the New York Stock Exchange, plus 14. These are positive side of neutral. Your advanced decline lines either rolling down in case of the SPX and the Dow or just kind of flatlining here. Like we said, it's a narrow rally. Highs versus lows on the S&P 500 plus 71 versus 41. This needs to be watched. This is narrowing here with the market all-time highs. Also on the Nasdaq, 373 versus 150 remains very strong. Put to call, overall, very bulled up, but that is now a side effect of the new daily options. And market breadth is sitting here turned up at pause and has been stuck now for a while. So when we talk about this week, first off, I always like to start with the ES. You can see this thing's been holding the 8 days so strong, new all-time highs on Friday. Very strong. We'll talk about Iran. Nothing's changed there. Supposedly Iran has sent us back some response, but we have very little details on it. The NQ, new all-time highs. Look at the strength. That was the big candle there. Crude continues to hold in here just under 100. Bonds, nothing going on here. Gold remains mostly sideways. Silver, same thing. Bitcoin, trying to break out and couldn't. It's pulling back. We'll see what it does from here. It wants to wake back up. HYG, not dragging on the market, not leading. The transports overall not leading. The dollar here also now weakening. That's good. That's where they're hiding. The VIX, what's very interesting about this is the VIX was up on Friday along with the markets. That's unusual. There's something to be watched. But the VIX is saying not much going on here, trading down to 16. Again, I would love to get a pullback here, but we're not sure we're going to see it. So where does that leave us with as we go into this week? We'll start off quickly with the banks as they're just out of play, whether it's JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, which is holding in better, Citigroup, Goldman, right? They're just not trading. They're either holding sideways or dipping back down. They don't want them. SoFi, they didn't want them after that report, right? Open, they kind of popped that up a little bit, then sold it right back off again. They don't want these little names. They don't want the banks right now. Energy, they don't want that unless it's Bloom Energy, which has been a very strong name. But overall, on that, uh, G Verona also been strong. They really don't want energy names. We talk XBI, and they really don't want any of the biotech names here. Lilly is trading okay, J&J, right? Merck, BMY, none of these are really looking spectacular. Gilead, they're all basically trading slightly down after earnings. So, again, plenty of room for rotation if they want to. Coin, we talk crypto. Coin, they bought that miserable report back. I'm not sure why. Something we'll keep an eye on, though. But I mean, that should have been down more than it was. Worth watching. Hood, they still don't really want. They've not yet recovered from earnings, although they're holding in okay. They just don't want these. So we'll be interested to see what Circle has to say on Monday morning. Maybe that's why Coin was up a bit. If you're looking for where the focus has been, we'll go through the semis in a minute. It's just hasn't been anywhere else. The airlines, not much going on here. I can't believe the airlines are holding in with what's going on out there with the fuel shortages coming up. The market just doesn't care. CAT remains very strong. Boeing is flying into China this week with President Trump to meet President Xi there, probably trying to get that order for 400 plus airlines. We'll see if that happens. Retail, Costco, Walmart, they look fine, but they have no strength. The strength's been in the semis. And this is what they talk about the AI trade. And what they've been doing here is they've been rotating names. SMH is at a new all-time high yet again. This thing has been on a mission. We know the memory and storage names, Micron, and look at this move on Friday, SNDK, right? Also, Western Digital and STX not participating. So if they want to rotate there, they can go back into them. We look at names like LRCX since earnings, all-time highs, not doing much. We'll see AMAT this week. Intel has been on a rampage, 40 to 130 in a little over a month is just unbelievable, right? New all-time highs on that. AMD in the same time period from under 300 to 455. These things are extended and in the nosebleeds. Hard to trade. NVIDIA did wake up and hit a new all-time high this week. If they want to continue to rotate with this name, this one can continue to push some more, right? I would keep my eyes on that one. ARM. It did okay after earnings, not big move there. Qualcomm, they love that report and they've rewarded it greatly. And Qualcomm is coming up on the all-time high being 230.63. What I always do is I go put that on there, right? So this way, if I'm trading it, I know it's there and I know that's a spot I need to pay attention to. So, Qualcomm here, beautiful move, not far from that all-time high. Looks like it wants it. A little extended here. Would like to see some inside action there. Taiwan Semi, you guys love this name. It's just not as in play. It's still holding right off the all-time high. It's only, slightly off of it, but it's just not one of the leaders. Again, they want to rotate some of these names. There's plenty of names they can rotate into there. Don't forget Marvel here also. Been resting now for the better part of 3 weeks. So, there's places and moves that can have there. The other sector that's just been absolutely dead but trying to wake up is IGV. Nice hold of the 8-day and bounce on Friday. We'll keep an eye on this sector. Palantir, since earnings, nothing going on, but didn't fall apart. Oracle's still coming up in a couple of weeks. Been leaders there. Adobe, a little bit of a wake up there. Believe it or not, it was Frog that had a huge report. Unity, they sold that back off. Microsoft, it's just sideways, can't break and hold that 100 days. Something to keep an eye on if the sector wakes up. Salesforce remains out of play. Snow remains out of play, right? ServiceNow also, just since earnings, remains weak and out of play. Brings us to some of the big tech in the Mag 7. Let's start off with Netflix, if we're covering some big names here. They just haven't wanted this since earnings. They've dumped it. It basically filled this gap, and it's just sitting here, and it can't even get to the 8-day. For me, there's just needs a catalyst. Amazon still looks very good to me. It's come up and it's slowly grinding up. Held the 8-day again. Watch to see if this one wants to go this week. Google put a new all-time high in, and it's doing kind of the same thing, except it's just trading a little bit better. Apple put in a new all-time high here, and again, extended here, but looks fabulous here. These are your leaders of the Mag 7. It's Amazon, it's Google, Apple, and Amazon right now. These are the three they want. Outside of that, they don't want the rest. Meta, It can't get out of this candle. I mean, it's almost traded entirely in the earnings day candle, not the gap, just the candle, except for this one day where it pushed out of it. That's just pretty amazing tight action here on this name. It's a bear flag formation or it's consolidation. You had a hit piece out, I think it was the New York Times, an opinion piece that they think Meta's best days are behind them. They're the new Cisco. I don't buy to that. Right. It was written by a guy who's yeah, he didn't really have great things to base it upon. You got to be careful with stuff like this. They are still a strong company, have incredible revenue and earnings per share. And the problem with them is that they haven't hit on any of the other things they've said they're going to hit on yet. The metaverse has been a bust. Llama is working very well from them internally, but nobody wants it externally. Anyway, enough on that. Who didn't we talk about? Tesla. We talked about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks, that Tesla was starting to wake up and start to behave better. So it's kind of what you call a J-hook formation, right? It looks like a J. And you come out of it and you're starting to push up now. And we pushed up and we're almost at the 3 month high. And Tesla continues to look better. For whatever reason, they're buying it. They could be buying it ahead of the SpaceX IPO, you know. So I will continue to keep an eye on this one. So my goal this week is to continue to watch for rotation to see if they rotate into any names of going after anything. But right now, the market seems to be very narrowly focused, and that's where to play. Eventually, this market will pull back. It always does, and we'll get a better entrances. And we could use that. You can either use rotation or a refresh of the setups here. But market can go on longer than we like. So continue to focus on the names in play. Flow's been great. They've really been coming after names that they want. Catch you guys on Monday morning in the room. Everybody have a wonderful Mother's Day and Sunday.